All right, hello everyone. This is Algebra 2, Chapter 2A, practice test. This is going to be day 1, so we're going to do about half of it, and then there'll be another video note for the second half. So today we'll just be going through 1 through 2, or 1 through 10, sorry. All right, so we're just going to go through 1 through 10. All right, here we go. So on number 1, 2, and 3, there's a couple things we're going to do. We're going to talk about the domain, range, and whether or not it's a function. Reminder, when you're doing this, make sure you're reading the directions to make sure you're answering everything. Domain are all of our x values. Range is all of our y's. And for function, remember that we are looking at two things here. So I'm going to say yes if it passes VLT. And we're also going to look at if x doesn't repeat. Okay, all right, so on this first one, I'm going to list all my domains. Reminder, when you're listing domain and range, don't list me any repeats. So I'm looking at domains, I'm looking at all of my x's here. I see there's no repeats, so I'm just going to bring all of those down. My range, on the other hand, when I look at all my y's, I see this 3 pops up twice, so I'm only going to write the 3 once. So I'm going to say 3, 5, and 6. Okay. Now, when we looked at our x's, there were no repeats, so this tells me yes, it is a fraction, or it is a function, so we're going to say yes, x doesn't repeat. To get full credit on your test, make sure you tell me that whole sentence there. Okay. Now this one, a little bit different. So as we look at our graph, we have a parabola. I see it starts here up at 3, so that's going to affect us later. For our x's, reminder with a parabola that u goes on and out forever. So because of that, we're going to have all real numbers. Our range, so because we're starting up here at 3 and then all of our y's are going down, that tells us we're going to have all of our y's are less than or equal to 3. If it was going up, we would say greater than or equal to 3. Okay. And now if I look at this parabola and I put vertical lines through everything, I see it doesn't hit anywhere more than once. We're going to say yes, passes VLT. Okay. If it was a U on its side, for example, if I drew a vertical line, it would hit twice. So this one would be a no, it fails VLT. Just so you guys can see the difference between those two. Okay. On this number 3, I want to know if I were to add a point to this, what would cause this not to be a function? So I'm just looking at all of my x's here, and then I'm looking at all the x's down here, and I see for b it has a 3 here and a 3 here, so that would cause it not to be a function. So that would be our answer. Okay. All right, our next function, or our next section, this was about functions. There we go. This is when we are plugging things in for x. Super important, we're plugging them into the right one. So if I see there's an f here and an f here, that means it has to go into the f function. All right, so every time I see an x, I'm going to plug in -3. Okay. From here now, you can plug it into your calculator if you want. Just really double check the negatives. Make sure you're putting parentheses around in your calculator. If you want to do it by hand, when I take -3 squared, I'm going to have +9. When I multiply these two, I'm going to have -15 and then -6. And then we're going to combine all of those, and we are going to get -12. Reminder, I need to have this part in front because that's how we properly write functions. So this whole thing here is our answer, meaning we took our f function, we plugged in -3, and we got out -12. Okay. This one says I'm going to take my g function, I'm going to plug in 1 in for my x. Okay. Inside the absolute, we're going to have -3, and the absolute of -3 is 3. And 3 plus 7 is 10. And reminder, we have to put this g of 1 in front. Okay, so on your test, you have to read directions, which one they want you to use, plug it in, and make sure you put that first part down in front of your answer. Okay. All right, our next section here, this is where all of our linear equations start coming into play. And some people need to start studying these. I'm going to have my slope equation. I'm just going to write this here. Again, some people want to start studying this. And then also some people might want to label their points. I'm just noticing some people are plugging them incorrectly in. So that tells me some of us just need help with a little bit of organizing. So now I'm going to follow my equation. So on top, I'm going to have 2 minus 8. I'm going to have 5 minus 2. On top here, it's going to equal negative 6. And the bottom is going to equal 3. A reminder, we cannot leave that like that to get full credit on our test, so we're going to simplify it just to negative 2. So on your test, really be careful about your negatives and make sure you're simplifying everything. These next two are special. Make sure we know the difference between these two. It does cause some of us to get them wrong on our test. So on top, I'm going to have 3 minus 3. On bottom, I'm going to have negative 1 minus 2. The top is going to equal 0. The bottom is going to equal negative 3. And if you left it like this, I would have to mark it wrong. So reminder, if you grabbed your calculator or if you just remember 0 on top, means our slope is going to be 0. So 0 divided by negative 3 is 0. We also want to remember this as a horizontal line. Okay. And then our last one, and some of us might get some hints from this last one we just did. These two are kind of opposites of each other. On this one on top, I'm going to have 7 minus 4, and on bottom, I'm going to have 3 minus 3. The top is going to equal 3, and the bottom is going to equal 0. Again, if you left it like that, I would have to mark it wrong. So remember, we can't divide by 0, so this is what we call an undefined slope, and you can just represent that with U and D. An undefined slope is a vertical line, so just remember these two things are opposites of each other. If you left it like this, I will have to mark it wrong, so make sure you take it to the next step. Okay. All right, we have 2 left from here. All right, so this next section is when we start getting into our linear equations. So again, I have some people who will just want to start studying these. On this one, it says I'm going to put this into standard form. Reminder, standard form is ax plus by equals c. And something we really need to remember about this is there are no fractions. I had some people start doing that on their homework. Standard form can have no fractions, okay? So this one here, I see the x is in the wrong spot, so I'm going to minus the 1/4 x right away. So now I have negative 1/4 x plus 2y minus 3 equals 0. Now I see my 3 is also on the wrong side, so I'm also going to add over that 3. Oh, sorry guys. So now I have negative 1/4 x plus 2y equals 3. So now it has the x and the y in the correct spot, but it's breaking that no fraction rule. So remember, we look at what's on the bottom here, and that's what we multiply to everything. Make sure you distribute that 4 to everything. Some of us forgot to do that on our homework. Now, when we take negative 1/4 times 4, it means the 4s are going to cancel, and whatever is in front of your x, that's what remains. So I'm going to have negative 1x, or just negative x. Oh, sorry, everyone. Plus 8y equals 12. So now I'm following all the rules. X and y are on the same side, and I have no fractions. So that would be our answer. Okay. All right, we're going to stop here at number 10. So this is going to be our last one we're going to do. So we notice again I'm putting standard form. So again, this equation up top here, that's what we're going to do in all the rules. But what I gave you right now, I gave you a point and a slope. So we can't just jump to standard form because standard form doesn't have slope in it. So we're going to use our point slope form for this section to help us out. Okay. So we're going to plug in what we know. So I'm going to say y minus negative 1 here, so it's going to be plus 1 equals our slope, and x minus 4. Okay, so now we're going to try to make this look like standard form. So I'm going to distribute the 1/2. So now I have y plus 1 equals 1/2 x minus 2. When we take half of 4, we take 4 divided by 2, or 4 divided by 2, which gives us 2. All right, now we have x's and y's on the opposite side, so I'm going to subtract this 1/2 x. And you know what, also to speed up our process, I'm also going to minus this 1 just to speed us up a little bit. So now I have negative 1/2 x plus y, and on this side now I have negative 3. Now again, I see I have a fraction, so I need to get rid of that. I see I have a 2 here, so that means I'm going to multiply everything by 2. Okay. Whatever is on top, that's what we leave in front of x. So I'm going to have negative 1x. I'm going to have positive 2y. And then chilling at the end here, I'm going to have negative 6. So this will be our answer. All right. So tune in for the next video if you need day 2. All right. Thank you.